My name is Heidi Sievers. I'm a certified bloodstain pattern analyst and owner of Sievers Forensics. I'm also a PHSC graduate of 2012. PHSC was a great breeding ground for personal growth. When I began attending PHSC in high school, I wasn't really sure what to expect. As a high school student, I didn't know a whole lot of people that were here. So it was a really great opportunity for me to grow professionally, but also personally with my peers. I was able to interact on campus with other students, engage with other students, talk with them with what their goals were, and stay interacted with things like intramural sports and events on campus, such as, Cultural Week and socials like pizza socials, ice cream socials, and it was just a great way for me to get interconnected with other people on campus. So during my dual enrollment process, I knew I always wanted to work in forensics, but just as any kid does, you go through that, well, is that really what I want to do? You vacillate a bit. Not only the time that the advisors took with me to really think about what I wanted to do, and at the time, forensics was not as popular as it is now. The advisors taking the time to really sit with me and get a good outlook and give me ideas for how to jumpstart my career. Go on ride-alongs, request to, shadow a department, get a tour of a department, volunteer. So a lot of those ideas came from my advisors here. So they were kind of helping me brainstorm, how do I get into this field that is so niche, so specific, and there's not always a ton of openings. It's a very competitive field. I remember distinctly a conversation with my advisor, and she said, if that's what you truly want to do, go for it. If that's what you want to do, you can do it. So they really helped me with that, but also just going back to those fundamental life skills that I learned here, from time management and being an ambassador and, juggling homework at the collegiate level, which they're holding you to a higher standard, which they should, right? You're now an adult, you're on your own, you're going to college. And that, I think the experience I had here shaped me to be able to handle all of the things that I do and manage my time wisely and be able to take on more tasks while still having a family and present myself professionally. It wasn't necessarily a sit-down conversation of, you could do these things, but indirectly they were setting me up to be able to even just go for them and give me the confidence that, why not me? When you get into college, especially early on, I think people are so focused on the coursework, and sometimes the services that are available sometimes get pushed aside, especially for the first couple of years. But I always tell students, never discredit the value of even just meeting with a tutor. Even if it's a short meeting and you don't actually sit down for tutoring, to understand what you could get out of it. It's more than just reading material, right? It's learning how to study and learning what techniques work for you. And not just the academic side of things, but the professional development side of things, whether it's a resume writing workshop or interview skills, or it's just a lecture on how to put yourself out there professionally, as well as social events. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to network with. You never know what type of like-minded people are going to be there. So that's just always my PSA for students, is never discredit the value in those extracurriculars. So I still think that the one-on-one, I had here in my classes, as well as not only the academic lessons I received, week in and week out, but also the life lessons that I was provided, whether directly or indirectly. I'm sure maybe some professors didn't even know they were giving me life lessons, but the life lessons I took away from here helped mold me into be able to start my own business and testify in court and have the confidence to do so, and really just put myself out there. I look back to those skills that I learned in my gen eds to support me in times where maybe I don't know how to word something, or I'm trying to figure out how to articulate an action I did in a report. I really think the most formative aspect of my time at PHSC were those fundamental classes and how serious the professors took those. I really think the instructors taking the time during those gen eds to really focus on their students, and although you're sitting in a big classroom, but it still feels like you have that one-on-one experience, really made the difference. Knowing that if my grade dips a little low on a test, that my professor is going to come up to me and be like, hey, what's going on? Do we need to work on something? And that feeling that they care about your success resonates well beyond graduation, and it makes you want to make other people feel the way they made me feel. I felt heard and seen, and that someone cared about my success, and I want to make other people feel that way, and I want my students to feel that way. Now that I'm a professor, it actually has taught me how to engage with my students and to keep them engaged and keep them wanting to go to class and to listen to what you're saying. So I didn't know it then. Everything that they were teaching me would, transition into life lessons, but I have to credit that back to, at such a young age, learning those life skills that I can incorporate now. I, kind of sacrificed a lot of the social life at high school to be able to leave for the whole day and either take classes or go to work to be able to fit everything in. And my biggest accomplishment, I would say, would be graduating with my AA exactly a month before my high school graduation, which it certainly looked very nice on college applications, and it definitely streamlined getting into a university. So I moved on to a university and completed my bachelor's, and then I continued on and got my master's, and then I eventually continued on and got my PhD while I was working in the field. I really think the main lesson I learned at PHSC was to be authentically you, and I just remember just being myself and knowing that that's what I wanted to do and that's what I was gonna do and nothing was gonna stop me. And having the support here that you can do anything you want if you really, truly put your mind to it, and not just have goals without action, but have actionable goals. So I feel like the biggest lesson of being myself is setting goals that I want to achieve, but also not just putting words out into existence, setting up a plan to get there. And whether it was through conversations with my professors or whether it was conversations with the advising team, they helped me set up those actionable steps to get me to my goal. And unbeknownst to me, was way above what I actually set as a goal, to where I ended up, which is always a good result.